I was standing alone in my kitchen on Thanksgiving morning, heating up a can of soup, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from my friend Margaret. "Just saw your beautiful Thanksgiving table on Facebook. You're so talented." I stared at the screen. My hands went cold. I hadn't been invited to Thanksgiving dinner. Not this year. Not last year either. But somehow, my table was there. The table I'd spent 2 days setting up. The one with my grandmother's china. My hand-embroidered napkins. The autumn centerpiece I'd carefully arranged with maple leaves and vintage candlesticks. My daughter-in-law had posted it with a caption that said, "So proud of my homemade Thanksgiving setup." And in that moment, standing in my empty kitchen with a can of soup in my hand, I realized something. I'd been erased. Before we go any further, if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've ever wondered when you became the inconvenience instead of the guest of honor, you're not alone. This is Life in a Chocolate Box, where we share the stories nobody wants to talk about. The ones that hurt. The ones that matter. If this story resonates with you, please subscribe, because your voice matters. And your story deserves to be heard. Now, let me tell you how I got here. I need to take you back to when Thanksgiving meant something different in this house. My husband Robert and I hosted Thanksgiving for 35 years. Every single year. It was sacred to us. I can still see him in the kitchen, that old apron tied around his waist, basting the turkey every 30 minutes like clockwork. He took it so seriously. He'd research the perfect cooking time, the ideal temperature, the best brine recipe. "Sue," he'd say, "Thanksgiving isn't just a meal. It's a memory. And we're memory makers. Memory makers." That's what he called us. Our dining room table sat 12 people comfortably, 14 if we squeezed. And we always squeezed. Robert would pull up the extra chairs from the basement, the ones with the wobbly legs that we kept meaning to fix. The more the merrier. He'd laugh, even when there was barely room to pass the mashed potatoes. My son Michael would help his father carry in firewood. Even when he was little, maybe 7 or 8, he'd insist on carrying the logs himself. They were almost as big as he was. Robert would ruffle his hair. That's my boy. Strong, like his old man. After dinner, Robert would pull out his guitar. He wasn't a great player, but he knew enough chords to lead us in singing. Old folk songs, hymns, sometimes just silly songs that made the kids giggle. Those were the good years. The full years. The years when I mattered. Everything changed when Robert got sick. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. They gave him 6 months. He lasted 4. That last Thanksgiving, he was too weak to get out of bed. But he insisted we still host. "Sue, promise me something," he whispered that morning. His voice was so thin by then. "Like paper. Anything. Promise me you'll keep doing this. Keep the family together. Don't let them drift apart." I held his hand. It felt so small in mine. When had his hands become so small? "I promise." Michael and Jessica came that day. They were newlyweds then, married just 8 months. Jessica seemed uncomfortable around Robert's hospital bed, which we'd set up in the living room so he could at least hear the dinner conversation. She kept her distance, smiled politely, but I saw the way she looked at him, like he was already a ghost. We set a place for Robert at the table anyway. An empty chair. His favorite chair, at the head. Michael broke down when he saw it. Just completely fell apart. I held him while he sobbed into my shoulder. "I'm not ready, Mom." I'm not ready to lose him. I know, baby. I know. Jessica stood in the doorway, checking her phone. She'd only taken 2 days off work. She needed to get back to the city, she said. Important meeting on Monday. Robert died 3 weeks later. And the next Thanksgiving, everything was different. It started 3 years ago. The first Thanksgiving after my husband passed. My son called me that October. His voice was cheerful, almost too cheerful. Mom, about Thanksgiving this year. I'd already started planning. I always hosted Thanksgiving. For 35 years, our home was where the family gathered. It was tradition. Jessica and I were thinking, maybe we should host this year. Give you a break. A break. That's what he called it. Oh, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Well, that's very thoughtful. You've worked so hard all these years, Mom. You deserve to rest. Rest. Relax. Take it easy. Those words became a pattern. A gentle way of saying, we don't need you anymore. But I don't mind cooking, I said. Really? I want to. Mom, we insist. You've earned a year off. What he meant was, we don't want you to host anymore. Will it be at your house? I asked. Yeah. Jessica's really excited. She's been planning it for weeks. Planning it. For weeks. Without mentioning it to me. That sounds lovely, I said, my voice hollow. Great! We'll see you Thursday at 3:33. That first Thanksgiving, the first showed up at their house with my famous pumpkin pie. The one my son loved since he was 5 years old. The recipe my mother taught me, that her mother taught her. I'd woken up at 5 a.m. to make it. Used real pumpkin, not canned. Added the secret ingredient, a touch of maple syrup and a pinch of cardamom. But when I walked in, I noticed something immediately. Jessica's parents were there. Her sister, Amber. Her brother, Todd, and his wife. Even her college roommate, Melissa, who I'd never met. But from my side of the family, just me. No one from Robert's side. No one from mine. Just me. I stood there in the doorway, holding my pie, feeling like a stranger at my own son's table. Jessica rushed over, all smiles and perfume. Too much perfume. Susan, you made it. Oh, you didn't have to bring anything. We have everything covered. She took the pie from my hands, not gently, more like she was removing an obstacle, and walked it into the kitchen. I watched her put it on the counter, not on the dessert table, which was beautifully arranged with store-bought pies from that fancy bakery downtown, but on the counter, behind the coffee maker, away from sight. Jessica's mother, Patricia, gave me a tight smile from the living room, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. Susan, how nice of you to come. How nice of me to come. To my son's house. On Thanksgiving. Michael appeared, drink in hand. He hugged me quickly. Hey, Mom. Glad you're here. Want some wine? Sure. White, if you have it. He poured me a glass from a bottle I didn't recognize. Expensive looking. Not the kind we used to buy. I followed everyone into the dining room. The table was set beautifully, I had to admit. Modern. Minimalist. White plates, gold silverware, eucalyptus branches instead of the traditional autumn leaves. There was a place card at each seat. I found mine. At the far end of the table. The absolute farthest seat from where Michael and Jessica would sit. Next to Jessica's college roommate, who spent the entire meal talking about her cryptocurrency investments. I picked at my turkey. It was dry. Overcooked. But I didn't say anything. Jessica stood up halfway through the meal and clinked her glass. I just want to say how grateful I am to have my family here today. My parents, who drove all the way from Connecticut. My sister, who rearranged her whole schedule. And my amazing husband, who helped me pull off my very first Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone clapped. She didn't mention me. Not once. When dessert came, I waited to see if she'd serve my pie. She didn't. She brought out the bakery pies, placed them in the center of the table with a flourish. These are from Belle Epoque Bakery, best in the state. They're famous for their desserts. My pie stayed on the counter, behind the coffee maker. At 7 p.m., I said I needed to go. Early morning tomorrow. I lied. No one seemed disappointed. As I was putting on my coat, I glanced back at the table. Jessica's family was still there, laughing, taking photos together. Michael walked me to my car. Thanks for coming, Mom. Of course. Did you have fun? I looked at him. Really looked at him. When had my son become someone who asked polite, meaningless questions? It was lovely, I said. He hugged me. Quick. Distracted. As I drove home, I cried so hard I had to pull over twice. When I got home, the house was dark, empty, silent. I heated up a cup of tea and sat in Robert's chair. You asked me to keep them together, I whispered to the empty room. But they don't want to be kept. The next morning, Michael texted me. Thanks for coming yesterday, Mom. Hope you had a good time. Jessica worked so hard on everything. I stared at that text for 20 minutes. Finally, I wrote back. It was beautiful. Tell Jessica she did a wonderful job. What I didn't write? I brought a pie you didn't serve. I sat at the far end of the table like an afterthought. Your wife didn't mention me once. What I didn't write, I've never felt so alone. But I'm learning that sometimes what we don't say speaks louder than what we do. The second year was worse. That September, Jessica called me. Not Michael. Jessica. Susan. Hi. How are you? I'm fine, dear. How are you? Busy. So busy. But I wanted to ask you something. My heart lifted. Maybe this year would be different. I'm planning Thanksgiving again this year, and I really want to make it special. Instagram special, you know? Instagram. That should have been my first clue. I was thinking about the table setting, and I remembered how gorgeous your tables always looked. The napkins, the centerpieces, everything. Thank you. So I was wondering, could you maybe help me set it up? Just the table, I mean. I'll handle all the cooking and everything else. She needed me. Or so I thought. Of course, I said. I'd be happy to help. Oh my God, you're the best. Can you come over next Tuesday? I want to get it done early, so I can take photos before Thanksgiving. Photos before Thanksgiving. That should have been my second clue. I arrived at their house that Tuesday with everything I needed. My grandmother's china, the set with the delicate gold rim, 8 place settings that had survived 3 generations, my hand-embroidered napkins, the ones I'd made the year after Michael was born, when I was up every night with a colicky baby and needed something to do with my hands. My vintage candlesticks, brass, from an antique shop in Vermont. Robert and I had found them on our 20th anniversary trip. My autumn centerpiece, supplies. Maple leaves I'd pressed and preserved. Miniature pumpkins. Pine cones. Sprigs of wheat. Jessica met me at the door, phone in hand. Perfect timing. I was just setting up my ring light, her ring light. For photos. We spent the next 3 hours setting that table. I placed each plate carefully, folded each napkin into a fan shape, tucked a small leaf into each fold, arranged the centerpiece 3 times until the colors were balanced. Jessica followed me around, taking photos, close-ups of the napkins, wide shots of the whole table, detail shots of the candlesticks. "This is amazing," she kept saying. "This is going to get so many likes." When we finished, the table looked like something from a magazine. Warm, elegant, inviting. Everything I'd hoped Thanksgiving would feel like. Jessica hugged me. "Thank you so much. This is exactly what I wanted. You're so talented." I glowed. I actually glowed. "So," I said, taking off my coat slowly, "what time should I arrive on Thursday?" Jessica's smile flickered, just for a second, but I saw it. "Oh, right. About that." My stomach dropped. "We're keeping the guest list really small this year. Just immediate family. You know how it is. Too many people, and it gets overwhelming." Immediate family. I was immediate family. I was the mother of her husband. "Small?" I repeated. "Yeah, just us, my parents, my sister and her husband. Maybe 8 people total." 8 people. The exact number of place settings I'd just arranged. "I see. It's nothing personal, Susan. We just want it to be intimate. You understand, right? Nothing personal." Those 2 words. I was learning to hate them. Of course. I heard myself say, "I understand." "Great. I knew you would. You're always so understanding." I gathered my things. My coat. My purse. My dignity, what was left of it. As I walked to my car, I looked back at their house. Through the window, I could see Jessica adjusting one of the candlesticks, taking another photo. That's when I understood. She didn't want my help. She wanted my work. Thanksgiving came. I didn't buy a turkey that year. What was the point? I heated up a Stouffer's frozen dinner. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, all in one plastic tray. I ate it in front of the TV, watching the Macy's parade. My phone was silent all day. Michael didn't call, didn't text. At 8 p.m., Margaret texted me. "Just saw Jessica's post. That table is stunning. Did you help with it?" My hands shook as I opened Facebook. There it was. My table. My grandmother's china. My hand-embroidered napkins. My centerpiece. My candlesticks. And the caption. "So blessed to have the talent to create beautiful moments for my family. Homemade Thanksgiving, made with love. Hashtag blessed. Hashtag Thanksgiving goals. Hashtag home decor. Hashtag tablescape inspo." Not one mention of me. 247 likes. 83 comments. I scrolled through them, each one like a knife. "You're so creative. How do you do it all? Supermom. This is gorgeous. Did you do this yourself?" And Jessica's reply, "Thank you. I love decorating for the holidays." She loved decorating. She loved decorating with my things, my work, my history. I set my phone down, looked at my plastic dinner tray, the congealed gravy, the dried-out turkey, and I cried until I couldn't breathe. The next morning, I woke up and made a decision. I drove to their house. It was 10 a.m. on Black Friday. I knew they'd be home. Jessica never did Black Friday sales. Too chaotic, she always said. Michael answered the door in his pajamas, looking confused. "Mom, is everything okay? I need my things," I said. "Your things?" my china, my napkins, my candlesticks. I'd like them back. Jessica appeared behind him, coffee mug in hand. Oh, Susan. Hi. Come in. It's freezing out there. I won't be long. I just need my things. Her smile tightened. Of course. Let me just wash the dishes first. We were going to return everything this weekend anyway. Now, please. There was a pause. An awkward, heavy pause. Michael looked between us. Mom, what's going on? What's going on? I said, my voice shaking. Is that I spent 2 days setting up a table for a dinner I wasn't invited to. And then I watched your wife take credit for it on social media. Jessica's face went white. I didn't take credit. I just posted a photo with the caption, Homemade Thanksgiving, made with love. You made it sound like you did everything yourself. I did do everything myself. I cooked the entire meal, but you didn't set the table. I did. With my china, my napkins, my centerpiece. And you didn't mention me once. Michael stepped between us. Okay, let's all calm down. I am calm. I said, I'm also done. I want my things. Now. Jessica set down her coffee mug with a sharp click. Fine. I'll get them. She disappeared into the dining room. Michael looked at me. Mom, you're being unreasonable. Am I? Your wife used my belongings, my work, and my family heirlooms to make herself look good on the internet. And I wasn't even invited to sit at the table I decorated. She was trying to give you a break. I didn't want a break. I wanted to be included. Jessica returned with a cardboard box. She'd thrown everything in carelessly. I could hear the china clinking together. Here, she said coldly, your things. I took the box, looked inside. One of the plates was chipped. This is chipped, I said quietly. It was already chipped. Jessica said, it wasn't. I knew every piece of that china. I knew every chip, every flaw. This was new. But I didn't argue. I just took my box and walked to my car. As I drove away, I looked in the rear-view mirror. Michael and Jessica were standing in the doorway, watching me leave. They looked angry. But I felt relieved. Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. Margaret started telling people what Jessica had done. Not in a gossipy way, just honestly, at church, at the grocery store, at the library. Can you believe it? She made Susan set up the entire table, didn't invite her to dinner, then took credit for it online. And people were horrified. Our community is small. Everyone knows everyone. And everyone knew me and Robert. They knew we'd hosted Thanksgiving for decades. They knew Robert had died. They knew I was alone now. And they didn't like how Jessica had treated me. The whispers started. At the pharmacy, the cashier, a woman who'd gone to school with Michael, gave me a sympathetic smile. I heard what happened on Thanksgiving. I'm so sorry, Susan. At the post office, the clerk said, my mother would have had a fit if I did that to my mother-in-law. You didn't deserve that. Even Father Tom, our priest, pulled me aside after Sunday service. Susan, I heard about Thanksgiving. How are you holding up? I'm managing, Father. That's not what I asked. I looked at him, really looked at him. I'm hurt, I admitted, and confused. I don't understand when I became the problem. He nodded slowly. Sometimes the people we love can't see us clearly. They see what they want to see, what's convenient. So what do? You wait. You let them figure it out. And you remember that your worth isn't determined by their ability to see it. I cried right there in the church parking lot. Meanwhile, Jessica's Facebook post was taking on a life of its own. Someone, I never found out who, commented, "Beautiful table. Did Susan help you with this? I recognized those napkins. She showed them to me years ago." Jessica replied, "Susan gave me some pointers." Some pointers. I'd done the entire thing. Another comment, "Wait, those look like Susan's plates. The antique ones with the gold rim." Jessica deleted that comment. But people noticed. Margaret commented, "Susan, your table looks beautiful." Oh, wait. You weren't invited, were you? Jessica deleted that too. But it was too late. People were paying attention now. Someone else. So let me get this straight. Susan set up your table. You didn't invite her to dinner, and then you took credit for her work? Classy. Jessica tried to control the narrative. She posted a new comment. "Just to clarify, Susan offered to help with the table as a gift to me. I'm so grateful for her generosity. She's wonderful." But it rang hollow, because everyone knew the truth. "I didn't offer," she asked. "I didn't give it as a gift. I expected to be included." Within a week, the post had over 300 comments, most of them negative. Jessica's friends tried to defend her. "You guys don't know the whole story. Jessica is the sweetest person. Stop attacking her." But our community knew better, and the court of public opinion had decided. Michael called me 3 days later. "Mom, you need to fix this." "Fix what?" "Fix what you've done. Jessica is getting death threats." Death threats seemed extreme, but I didn't say that. "I haven't done anything, Michael. You told people what happened. You made her look bad. I didn't tell anyone. Margaret did. And I can't control what Margaret does." "Well, can you at least post something? Tell people it was a misunderstanding?" "Was it?" "What? Was it a misunderstanding?" "Because from where I'm standing, it looks pretty clear. Jessica used me, didn't invite me, and took credit for my work." "Mom, it's more complicated than that." "Then, explain it to me. Make me understand." He was quiet for a long time. Jessica was just trying to impress her family. He finally said, "By excluding me? Her mom is really critical." Jessica wanted to prove she could do everything herself, but she couldn't. She needed me, and then she erased me. She didn't mean to hurt you, but she did. And you let her. Another long silence. "What do you want me to say, Mom?" "I want you to acknowledge that what happened was wrong. I want you to stand up for me. I want you to remember that I'm your mother, and I deserve better than this." His voice was small when he spoke again. "You're right. I'm sorry." But sorry wasn't enough. Not yet. The third year came faster than I expected. October arrived with golden leaves and crisp air, and with it, the inevitable question. Jessica called me. Her voice was tight, formal. "Susan, I wanted to reach out about Thanksgiving." "Okay, I know last year was difficult, and I'm sorry. I handled things poorly. An apology. Finally. But this year, I want to do it right. I want to do everything myself. No help. I want to prove I can do this." "I see. So I was hoping, could I borrow your china? And maybe the napkins? They really do photograph beautifully." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You want to borrow my things, but not invite me? It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Jessica?" "It's just My family likes things a certain way. And when you're there, it's different. Different how? She hesitated. Heavy. There was that word again. Heavy. I make things heavy, I repeated flatly. You're still grieving. And my family doesn't. They don't know how to handle that. So you exclude me. I'm trying to make everyone comfortable. Everyone except me. She sighed, exasperated, like I was being difficult. So, is that a no on the china? I almost laughed. Almost. Yes, Jessica. That's a no. Fine. I'll buy my own. She hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, shaking. And then I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my sister. Linda lived in Arizona. We drifted apart after Robert died. Different states, different lives. But she answered on the second ring. Sue, everything okay? I told her everything. The whole story. 3 years' worth of hurt spilled out in 20 minutes. When I finished, she was silent. Linda, I'm here. I'm just furious. You are? Of course I am. That woman is treating you like garbage, and Michael is letting her. It felt good to hear someone validate my pain. What should I do? Stop helping her. Stop making it easy for her to exclude you. I did. I said no. Good. Now take it further. What do you mean? Make your own plans. Don't sit home waiting for an invitation that's never coming. Live your life. On Thanksgiving, especially on Thanksgiving, I thought about that. Where would I even go? Come here. Come to Arizona. Spend Thanksgiving with me and Tom. Really? Really? We'd love to have you. And Sue? Yeah? Pack that china. We'll use it. I started crying. Again. But this time, they were different tears. Relief. Gratitude. Hope. Okay. I whispered. Okay. I booked my flight the next day. I didn't tell Michael. Not right away. Let him wonder. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, he called. Hey, Mom. So, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? I have plans. Plans? With who? Linda. I'm going to Arizona. He was quiet. Surprised. Oh, that's great. He didn't sound like it was great. When are you leaving? Tuesday. And coming back when? The following Monday. That's a whole week. I know. Another pause. We were thinking, maybe we could stop by. Before you leave, drop off some leftovers or something. Leftovers. From a dinner I wasn't invited to. That's not necessary. Mom, come on. Don't be like this. Like what? Cold. I almost laughed. I'm not being cold, Michael. I'm being honest. I don't want your leftovers. I don't want your pity. I want to be included. And since that's not happening, I'm making other plans. Jessica's really trying. No, she's not. She called me 3 weeks ago, asking to borrow my china. For a dinner I'm not invited to. That's not trying. That's using. He didn't have a response to that. Have a nice Thanksgiving, Michael. I hung up. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt powerful. Thanksgiving morning, I woke up in Linda's guest room. Sun was streaming through the curtains. I could smell coffee brewing downstairs. I went to the kitchen. Linda was making pancakes. Her husband Tom was reading the paper. Morning, Sue. Linda said brightly. Sleep okay? Best sleep I've had in months. And it was true. Tom looked up from his paper. We're smoking a turkey today. Low and slow. Takes about 6 hours. Can I help? You're our guest. I want to help. Linda smiled. Then you can make your famous stuffing. The one with the cranberries and pecans. Deal. We cooked all day. Laughing. Talking. Listening to music. Around noon, my phone rang. Michael. I let it go to voicemail. He called again at 2. Again at 4. Finally, at 6, he texted, Mom, are you okay? Why aren't you answering? I texted back, I'm fine. Enjoying Thanksgiving with Linda. Hope yours is going well. He replied immediately, Can you call me? I turned off my phone. Whatever he wanted could wait. Dinner that evening was perfect. Linda had invited their neighbors, a retired couple named George and Diane. They were funny and warm and asked me questions about my life. Real questions. What do you like to do, Susan? I quilt. And I volunteer at the library. Oh, how wonderful! We need more people at our library. Maybe you could visit while you're here? I'd love that. For the first time in 3 years, I felt seen. After dinner, we sat on the patio. The Arizona sunset was breathtaking. Orange and pink and purple. Linda sat next to me, handed me a glass of wine. You seem lighter, she said. I feel lighter. Good. You deserve to feel good. I looked at her. Thank you. For this. For everything. That's what sisters are for. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sky change colors. My phone was still off, and I didn't miss it at all. I came home the following Monday. There were 17 missed calls from Michael, 12 voicemails. I listened to them one by one. The first few were casual. Hey, Mom, call me back. Then they got worried. Mom, are you okay? I'm getting concerned. Then annoyed. Seriously, Mom? This is childish. Just answer your phone. Then desperate. Mom, please. I need to talk to you. The last one was different. Mom, I messed up. Okay? I know I did. Thanksgiving was awful. Jessica's upset. Her family's upset. And I realized the only person who could have made it better wasn't there. Because we didn't invite you. And that was wrong. I was wrong. Please call me back. I saved that voicemail. But I didn't call him back. Not yet. The next day, Margaret came over with scones and coffee. So, how was Arizona? Perfect. Good. You needed that. She handed me her phone. You need to see this. It was Jessica's Facebook. Another Thanksgiving post. But this year's photo was sad. The table was a mess. Paper napkins instead of cloth. A plastic tablecloth. Store-bought decorations that looked cheap. The turkey in the background looked burned on one side, raw on the other. The caption, keeping it simple this year. Sometimes less is more. Hashtag Thanksgiving vibes. But the comments told a different story. Is everything okay? This looks different from last year. What happened to your beautiful table? Did Susan help last year? This doesn't look like your usual style. And then Jessica's sister commented. And this is where everything changed. Be honest, Jess. Susan did last year's table. And you didn't even invite her to dinner. Mom and I were talking about it. That was really messed up. The floodgates opened. Comment after comment. Wait, you took credit for someone else's work? And you didn't invite her? Your husband's mother? That's incredibly disrespectful. Jessica tried to defend herself. It's more complicated than that. You don't know the whole story. But her sister replied, I was there. I know exactly what happened. You were embarrassed to have her there. You said she'd bring down the mood. Remember? I read that comment 3 times. Bring down the mood. That's what Jessica had said about me. Margaret was watching my face. You okay? Yeah, I said quietly. I'm okay, because I was. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even hurt anymore. I was just done. 2 hours later, Michael showed up at my door. He looked terrible. Red eyes. Unshaven. Mom, can I come in? Of course. We sat in the living room. The same room where Robert had spent his last Thanksgiving. Michael looked around. I hate that you were alone here on Thanksgiving. I wasn't alone. I was with Linda. Right. In Arizona. Yes. He rubbed his face. I saw Jessica's post. And the comments. I did too. Did you know her sister was going to say that? No. Jessica's devastated. I didn't respond. She's getting so much hate online. People are calling her names, saying she's a terrible person. And? He looked at me, confused. And? Doesn't that bother you? Should it? She's your daughter-in-law, and I'm your mother. And she's spent 3 years excluding me, using me, and making me feel like a burden. So no, Michael. It doesn't bother me that people are pointing out what she did was wrong. He was quiet. I'm sorry, he finally said. I know. No, I mean, I'm really sorry. I should have stood up for you. I should have insisted you be invited. I should have seen what was happening. Yes, you should have. I was trying to keep the peace with Jessica. By sacrificing me, he flinched. Yeah, I guess so. We sat in silence. What do I do now? He asked. That's up to you. Do you forgive me? I thought about that. Really thought about it. I don't know yet. I said honestly. I love you. You're my son. But forgiveness takes time. He nodded. Tears in his eyes. Can we start over? Maybe. But things need to change. They will. I promise. Don't promise me, Michael. Show me. He wiped his eyes. Okay. I will. After he left, I sat in Robert's chair and closed my eyes. I kept them together as long as I could. I whispered. But I can't do it alone anymore. The next few weeks were strange. Jessica didn't call, didn't text. Nothing. But Michael started showing up. Not often. Once a week, maybe. He'd bring coffee, sit with me, ask about my day. Real questions, not polite ones. How's your quilting project coming? Did you finish that book you were reading? Want to get lunch on Saturday? It felt like slow healing, like stitching together something that had been torn. One afternoon in early December, he brought something with him. A box. What's this? I asked. Open it. Inside was a framed photo. From years ago. Robert, me, and Michael. Thanksgiving. Michael was maybe 10 years old, grinning at the camera with mashed potatoes on his chin. I found this in storage, Michael said quietly. I'd forgotten about it. I traced my finger over Robert's face. God, I missed him. Dad made Thanksgiving special, Michael said. And so did you. Every year. I took that for granted. You were a kid. You're supposed to take things for granted. But I'm not a kid anymore. And I should have remembered what you taught me. What did I teach you? That family shows up. Even when it's hard. Even when it's inconvenient. Family shows up. I looked at him. Really looked at him. And I saw Robert in his eyes. Yeah, I said softly. They do. A week before Christmas, Jessica finally called. I almost didn't answer. But I did. Susan. Her voice was small, shaky. Jessica. 1. I don't know where to start. The beginning is usually good. She let out a breath. Almost a laugh, but not quite. I was wrong. About everything. About Thanksgiving. About excluding you. About taking credit for your work. I stayed quiet. I was so focused on looking perfect that I forgot to actually be good. To be kind. Why did you do it? I asked. Why was it so important to keep me away? She was silent for a long moment. Because you reminded everyone that life isn't perfect, she finally said. You were grieving. You were sad. And I didn't want people to see that. I wanted them to see the perfect family. The perfect dinner. The perfect life. But that's not real. I know that now. Do you? Yes. Because this year, when I tried to do it all myself, it fell apart. The dinner was terrible. The table was embarrassing. My family was disappointed. And I realized, perfection isn't the point. Being together is. I closed my eyes. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she continued. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. Okay. Okay, I hear you. That's all I can say right now. That's fair. We hung up. And I cried. Again. But this time, the tears felt different. Like maybe, just maybe, something was beginning to heal. Christmas Eve came faster than I expected. Michael called me that morning. Mom, we're doing Christmas at our place tonight. Nothing fancy. Just us. And we really, really want you there. My heart clenched. Just us? Me, Jessica, and you. No one else. I promise. I hesitated. Please, Mom, give us a chance. I thought about Robert. About what he'd want me to do. What time? I asked. 6. And Mom? Yeah? Bring the china. Please. I smiled despite myself. Okay. I showed up at 6 p.m. with my pumpkin pie and a box of china. Michael answered the door. He looked nervous. You came. I said I would. Jessica appeared behind him. She looked nervous too. And tired. Susan. Thank you for coming. I nodded. The house smelled like pine and cinnamon. A small Christmas tree stood in the corner, lit with white lights. The dining table was set simply. 3 places. No fancy decorations. Just candles and a small centerpiece of holly. I didn't want to try too hard, Jessica said quietly. I just wanted it to be honest. We sat down to dinner. Ham. Mashed potatoes. Green beans. Nothing fancy. Nothing Instagram-worthy. And it was perfect. We ate mostly in silence at first. Awkward. Careful. Then Michael said, "Remember that Thanksgiving when Dad dropped the turkey?" I laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, God. On the kitchen floor, he just scooped it back onto the platter like nothing happened. Michael said, grinning. 5-second rule, I said, imitating Robert's voice. Jessica smiled. I wish I'd known him better. He would have liked you, I said, and I meant it. He would have liked the real you, not the perfect version, the real one. Her eyes filled with tears. We talked more after that. About Robert. About memories. About the Thanksgivings we used to have. Jessica listened. Really listened. When dessert came, Michael brought out my pie with a flourish. Ladies and gentlemen, the famous Susan Walker pumpkin pie. Made by the best mom in the world. I blushed. Stop. Never. We ate the pie slowly, savoring it. Afterward, Jessica and I did the dishes together. It was quiet, but not uncomfortable. Susan? She said, scrubbing a plate. Yeah? Can I ask you something? Sure. Will you teach me? How to make the pie. How to set a proper table. All of it? I looked at her. She was crying. I don't want to just copy you, she continued. I want to learn from you. I want to understand why it matters. I set down my dish towel. It matters because it's about making people feel welcome, feel loved. That's what Robert used to say. A beautiful table isn't about impressing people. It's about honoring them. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I'd be happy to teach you, I said. Really? Really? She hugged me. Tight. Desperate. And I hugged her back. As I was leaving that night, Michael walked me to my car. The air was cold. Crisp. Snow was starting to fall. Thank you for coming, he said. Thank you for inviting me. I mean it, Mom. This was important. You're important. I kissed his cheek. I love you. I love you too. As I drove home, I thought about the past 3 years. The hurt. The exclusion. The loneliness. But also the growth. The boundaries. The self-respect I'd found. I'd learned something important. You can't force people to see your worth, but you can refuse to accept being treated as worthless. And sometimes, when you finally stand up for yourself, people start to pay attention. New Year's Eve, Jessica called me. Susan, I was thinking about next Thanksgiving. My stomach tightened. Okay, what if? What if we did it together? At your house. Your table. Your traditions. I'll help. I'll learn. But I want to do it the right way this time. I smiled. I'd like that. Really? Really? Thank you for giving me another chance. We all deserve another chance, Jessica. After we hung up, I walked into my dining room. I looked at the table, the one Robert and I had bought 37 years ago. I ran my hand over the wood. We'll fill this table again, I whispered. The right way. January passed. Then February. Then March. Michael and I had lunch every Saturday. Jessica and I met for coffee once a month. She asked questions. About Robert. About family traditions. About what really mattered. Slowly, Carefully, we were rebuilding. In April, they asked if I wanted to plant a garden with them. We have no idea what we're doing, Michael admitted. Good thing I do, I said. We spent weekends together, digging in the dirt, planting tomatoes and herbs and flowers. Jessica took pictures. But she also put down her phone, got her hands dirty, laughed when she planted something upside down. I'm terrible at this, she said. You're learning, I corrected. That's different. In June, they invited me to a Sunday dinner. Just because. No holiday. No occasion. Just family dinner. I cried when I got the invitation. Happy tears this time. Summer passed into fall. October arrived with its golden light and cooling air. And with it, the question I'd been waiting for. Michael and Jessica came over on a Sunday afternoon. Mom, Michael said, we want to talk about Thanksgiving. Okay, Jessica took a breath. We want to do it here. At your house. All of us together. Your traditions. Your recipes. Your table. And, Michael added, we want to help. Really help. Not just show up. We want to learn. I looked at them both. Are you sure? We're sure, Jessica said. I want to learn how to make this meaningful. Not just pretty. I smiled. Okay. Let's do it. The weeks leading up to Thanksgiving were different this time. Michael came over to learn how to brine a turkey. Dad's recipe, I explained, showing him the measurements. Jessica asked me to teach her my centerpiece technique. We spent an afternoon pressing leaves and arranging them just so. It's not about perfection, I told her. It's about care. I'm starting to understand that, she said. They asked about the menu. The timing. The little details that made Thanksgiving special. And they listened. Really listened. 2 days before Thanksgiving, we set the table together. My grandmother's china. My hand-embroidered napkins. My brass candlesticks. But this time, Jessica arranged the centerpiece herself. It was beautiful. You did that perfectly, I said. I had a good teacher. Michael put his arm around both of us. This feels right, he said. This feels like family. And it did. Thanksgiving Day arrived. I woke up early, like I always did. But this time, I wasn't alone. Michael and Jessica arrived at 7 a.m. Ready to cook? Michael asked. Let's do this, I said. We worked together all morning. Michael basted the turkey every 30 minutes, just like Robert used to. Jessica made the stuffing, following my handwritten recipe card. I made the pies. 3 of them. Pumpkin, apple, and pecan. The kitchen was warm, full, alive. Music played. We laughed. We told stories. At one point, I looked up and caught Michael watching me. What? I asked. Nothing. Just. I'm glad you're here. Me too, sweetheart. At 3 p.m., we sat down to eat. Just the 3 of us. Simple. Honest. Real. We held hands as Michael said grace. Thank you for this food. For this home. And for second chances. And thank you for Mom, who never gave up on us, even when we gave her every reason to. I squeezed his hand. We ate slowly, savoring every bite. The turkey was perfect. The stuffing was delicious. The pies were. Well, they were pretty good too. After dinner, we sat in the living room. Jessica pulled out her phone. "Can I take a picture?" she asked. "Not for Facebook. Just for us?" "Of course." She set up the camera. We squeezed together on the couch. And she took one photo. Just one. Afterward, she showed it to me. The three of us smiling. Real smiles. Not posed. Not perfect. Just family. "That's going in a frame," she said. "On our mantel." "Good," I said. As the evening wound down and they were getting ready to leave, Jessica hugged me at the door. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not giving up on me. On us." "Thank you for trying," I said. "For learning." "I have a long way to go." "We all do." Michael hugged me next. "I love you, Mom." "I love you too." After they left, I stood in my dining room. The table was covered with dishes. Leftover food. Wine glasses. Signs of a meal shared. Signs of life. I sat in Robert's chair and closed my eyes. "We did it," I whispered. We kept them together, and I swear I could feel him smiling. That night, I got a text from Jessica. It was the photo from earlier, with a caption. "My first real Thanksgiving. Thank you for teaching me what matters. Love you, Susan." I stared at that text for a long time. Love you. She'd never said that before. I texted back, "Love you too, sweetheart." And I meant it. The next morning, I woke up to another text. From Michael. "Mom, been thinking. What if we made this a tradition? Every Thanksgiving, at your house, together. What do you say?" I smiled. I say yes. Absolutely yes. Because that's what Thanksgiving is supposed to be. Not about perfect tables or impressive photos, but about showing up. About gratitude. About family. About second chances. About love that survives even when it's tested. A week later, Margaret came over for tea. "So," she said, settling into her chair, "how was Thanksgiving?" "Perfect," I said. "Really? Really?" Michael and Jessica came. We cooked together. We ate together. It was exactly what it should have been. Margaret smiled. "I'm happy for you, Sue. Thank you. For everything. For being there when I needed someone. That's what friends do." We sipped our tea in comfortable silence. "You know what I realized?" I said. "What?" "I spent 3 years waiting to be invited back into my son's life. But what I should have been doing was living my own life. With or without that invitation. And now? Now I have both. A life of my own and a place at their table." Margaret raised her teacup. "To finding your worth." I clinked mine against hers. "To knowing it was always there." Christmas came and went. This time, I was included in every plan, every dinner, every tradition. Jessica asked me to teach her how to make Robert's famous eggnog. Michael asked me to help them pick out a Christmas tree. We spent Christmas Eve together, laughing and singing carols the way we used to. And when I looked at my son and daughter-in-law, I saw something I hadn't seen in years. Genuine love. Genuine respect. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. New Year's Day, I sat down and wrote in my journal. Something I hadn't done since Robert died. I wrote, "This year, I learned that you can't make people value you, but you can stop accepting being devalued. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is come back. I learned that forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to move forward. And I learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about showing up, about trying, about choosing each other every single day. Robert, wherever you are, we're okay. We're going to be okay. I closed the journal and looked out the window. Spring would come soon, and with it, new beginnings. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've ever been excluded from the table you helped set, if you've ever wondered if you matter, please know this: you do matter. You always have. And you deserve a seat at the table. Not because of what you can do for them, but because of who you are. And if they can't see that, set your own table. Fill it with people who see you, who value you, who show up for you. Because that's what Thanksgiving is really about. Not perfection, but presence. Not performance, but love. This is Life in a Chocolate Box, where every story matters, especially yours. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are never too old, too much, or too heavy to deserve love. You are exactly enough, just as you are.